10 years of marriage, and I thought I had it all. A brilliant husband, an influential family that adored me, and a coveted career as the marketing director of the Aurora Group, the fashion empire my father had spent his life building. I lived in that blissful state until a Friday afternoon, when a single text message brought it all crashing down. I was chairing the final quarterly strategy meeting when my phone buzzed. It was a text from Sophie, my best friend from university. "Isabel, where are you? It's urgent." I signaled for my assistant to continue and quietly stepped out. I called her back immediately. Her voice on the other end was frantic. "Sophie, what is it?" "Isabel, listen to me carefully," she rushed out. "Your husband, Julian, he's not on a business trip to the Canary Islands." A cold dread washed over me. "What are you talking about? He called me this morning to say he'd arrived." "No, Isabella," Sophie's voice cracked. "My cousin works for the airline. She just sent me a photo. Julian is at Charles de Gaulle checking in for a flight to Switzerland. And he's not alone." My ears started ringing, but I kept my voice steady. "Who is with him?" "His entire family. Your in-laws, his sister and her husband. And a young, very pregnant woman. They look so intimate. Your mother-in-law was rubbing the girl's belly." Each word was a knife in my heart. Switzerland, a pregnant girl, the entire family. The pieces clicked together into a picture of unbelievable cruelty. I hung up, my hand gripping my phone until my knuckles turned white. I returned to the meeting, my face a mask of professional calm. "This meeting is adjourned. I want detailed reports in my inbox by 9 a.m. tomorrow." My staff, surprised by the abruptness, quickly complied. The moment the door closed, I grabbed my keys and ran to the garage. I had to see it for myself. As my car sped through the busy Paris streets, my mind raced. For 10 years, what had I done wrong? I treated his parents like my own. Since my father passed, they were my emotional anchor. I poured my soul into the Aurora Group, making it a success so Julian could be proud of his wife. We didn't have children yet, my greatest sorrow, but he always said it didn't matter to him. It was all a lie. It didn't matter because he had found someone else to bear his child. At the airport, I blended into the crowd, wearing a cap and sunglasses, and then I saw them at the business class check-in. My husband's family, laughing and happy. Julian, the man I shared my bed with, had his arm around a beautiful young woman with a swollen belly. My mother-in-law, who always urged me to take care of my health, was handing the girl a warm drink. They were a perfect, happy family, and in that picture I was the outsider. The betrayal didn't come from just one person. It came from everyone I loved and trusted. They had woven a perfect play, and I was the only audience member kept in the dark. They weren't going on vacation, they were going to Switzerland for the birth. I didn't confront them. I just quietly took a few photos from a distance clear enough to see their joyful faces. This would be my first piece of evidence. As they passed through security, I turned and walked away. No tears fell, but something inside me died. Love, trust, 10 years of respect all turned to ash in that airport. I knew the Isabel of yesterday was gone. From now on, a new Isabel would take her place. One who would reclaim what belonged to her and her father, at any cost. I drove to our villa, once our sanctuary, now a cold and empty house. The scent of lilies I loved now felt suffocating. I went straight to my father's study and opened the heavy safe he'd installed. Inside were documents, deeds, and most importantly, my father's will, which left me the controlling shares of the Aurora Group. Julian held only a minor position on the board. My father had always told me it was my protection. Now I understood. I gathered the crucial documents and made my first call to Monsieur Bernard, my father's most trusted lawyer. "Monsieur Bernard," I said, my voice steady, "I need your help. It's urgent." He sensed the gravity in my tone. "I am listening, Isabel." I need you to prepare for divorce proceedings. I also suspect my husband, Julian, has been committing financial fraud and embezzling funds from the company. I need you to investigate." There was a stunned silence. "Isabel, what has happened?" "He has another woman. They are expecting a child, and his entire family has conspired to hide it from me. They've taken her to Switzerland to give birth. I saw them at the airport myself." I heard him sigh. "I understand. Stay calm, and do not let them know you've discovered anything. I will hire a professional to gather evidence in Switzerland. As for the finances, where do you suspect the fraud is?" "I believe he's been using the company's charity, the Aurora Foundation, to funnel money to her. I need the transaction records for the last 3 years. I'll get on it immediately, he assured me. You are a majority shareholder. You have every right to that information. Stay strong, Isabel. We are with you. And after the call, I began my own work. Using my high-level administrative access, I secretly downloaded all of Julian's company emails, chat logs, and files from the past 3 years. I reviewed security footage from the office and our home, the secretive phone calls, the suspicious departures, saving everything. The pain was still there, a dull ache in my chest, but it had transformed into the cold fire of determination. They started this play, but I would write the ending. A few days later, a report arrived from David, the private investigator Monsieur Bernard had hired in Switzerland. It was filled with photos. The first was of a luxurious villa with a white sports car parked outside the car Julian always dreamed of. Another showed Julian and the woman, Chloe, shopping for groceries like a happy couple. Then came photos of my entire in-law family having a cheerful dinner in the villa's garden. The report confirmed it all: the villa lease, the car purchase, and the prenatal registration at a high-end private clinic, all under Julian and Chloe's names. The final blow. David had traced the first money transfers from Julian to Chloe. They started 3 years ago. This wasn't a fleeting mistake. It was a systematic 3-year deception. For 3 years, while I worked myself to the bone and cried myself to sleep over our childlessness, he was building another family. While I cared for his parents, they were helping their son cover his tracks. That evening, I received a video call from my mother-in-law. Seeing her smiling face made me sick, but I forced a bright smile. "Hello, how is everyone?" "We're wonderful, dear," she chirped. "I was just calling to check on you. You look a bit thin. You mustn't work so hard." She then launched into a lecture about how it was time we had children, even suggesting I fly over to join them, as the medical care was so advanced there. It was all a performance to pave the way for her new grandchild's legitimate arrival. "I know. I'm trying," I replied, playing the part of the sad, barren wife. The hypocrisy was nauseating. They thought I was a fool. The next day, Monsieur Bernard summoned me to his office, his face grim. He showed me the financial statements from the Aurora Foundation. As we suspected, Julian transferred funds to Chloe under the guise of scholarships, but the scale is much larger than we imagined. It's not a small sum. It's millions of euros, moved in smaller increments over 3 years. Millions. My father's charity, meant to help underprivileged students, had become Julian's personal ATM to fund his secret life. "But that's not the worst of it," Monsieur Bernard said, pushing another document toward me. It was a routine audit confirmation letter his assistant had sent over for my signature. "Look at the appendix." Tucked away in tiny print was a clause I almost missed. It was a rider to my share transfer authorization document from my father. The text stated that by signing, I agreed to unconditionally transfer 20% of my shares in the Aurora Group to Julien Dubois for the purpose of corporate restructuring. It was a brilliant, vicious trap. With that 20%, plus his own small share and the backing of a few board members he'd likely bought, he could oust me from my own company. "He thinks you're a naive fool," Monsieur Bernard said with disgust. But a new resolve hardened within me. "We'll play his game," I said, my voice cold as ice. "I'll stall on signing this. In the meantime, you will prepare a different document, one that looks identical but has a completely opposite meaning. He wants to play with words? I'll play. He will be the one signing his own downfall." The pressure was immense. The stress and heartbreak took a physical toll, and severe stomach pains became a constant companion. One morning, during a major presentation, a blinding pain shot through my abdomen. The world went black. I woke up in a hospital, the sterile smell filling my nostrils. My friend Sophie was by my side, her eyes red. The doctor, a kind-faced older man named Dr. LeBlanc, entered. "Mademoiselle Moreau," he said gently, "we've run some tests. We found a tumor in your stomach." My heart stopped. "Is it dangerous?" He sighed. "The biopsy results are pending, but based on my experience, it is likely early-stage stomach cancer. It is very similar to your father's case. Cancer, the disease that took my father. At this moment, when I needed to be at my strongest, fate had dealt me a death sentence. The tears I had held back for so long finally broke free. Isabel, the doctor said softly after I'd calmed down, medicine has advanced significantly. Because we caught it early, the chances of a full recovery are very high. We must operate as soon as possible. I couldn't die. Not yet. I had too much to finish. The diagnosis didn't break me. It gave me a deadline. Doctor, I said, my voice firm, I will have the surgery, but please, give me 2 weeks. I have something critical to finish. Just 2 weeks. Seeing the unbreakable resolve in my eyes, he reluctantly agreed. 2 weeks. Then you must be admitted immediately. Your life is what matters most. My plan for revenge was no longer just a battle for assets. It was now a race against time, a game of life and death I could not afford to lose. While I was recovering in the hospital, Julian called, feigning concern. My love, I was so worried. Are you all right? I'm fine, I lied, playing the part of a weak patient. Just exhaustion. The doctor said I just need rest. I couldn't let him know about the cancer. His pity would ruin my plan. He needed to believe I was still the healthy, naive woman he could easily manipulate. He quickly got to the point. Darling, I know you're tired, but have you seen the audit documents I sent? Our partners are pushing for them. It's for our future. Our future. The one that didn't include me. I'm too tired, Julian. My head spins when I try to read. Please, try, he coaxed. You only need to sign the last page. I've checked everything. For us. My plan was working. He was getting impatient. The hungrier the fish, the easier it is to catch. With only 2 weeks, I moved quickly. First, I had to protect the heart of the Aurora Group, my shares. I called a secret meeting with my father's 3 most loyal executives and shareholders, Mr. Laurent, Miss Fournier, and Mr. Laurent Petite. I laid out all the evidence, the photos, the bank statements, and Julian's forged audit letter. Their shock turned to fury. That scoundrel! Mr. Laurent slammed his fist on the table. He doesn't deserve to be at Aurora for another day. I then presented my risky plan. I will be away for some time for medical treatment. I cannot leave my father's legacy vulnerable. Therefore, I want to temporarily transfer 30% of my shares into your trust, overseen by Monsieur Bernard. This will protect the shares and ensure the company remains in loyal hands. They understood the weight of the request. After a moment of silence, Mr. Petite spoke. Your father used to say Aurora was his life, but you were his heart. We cannot stand by while both are threatened. We accept. With the contract signed, the first wall of defense was built. Now, it was time to set the trap. I began orchestrating a fake bankruptcy. I stopped wearing makeup and wore ill-fitting dark clothes to the office, looking every bit the part of a woman on the verge of collapse. I strategically let slip to gossipy business partners that a major European export deal had fallen through, causing a severe cash flow problem. To make it convincing, I instructed the finance department to delay a few minor payments to suppliers. The rumor that the Aurora Group was in financial crisis spread like wildfire. The final, decisive move was putting our villa up for sale at a 30% discount, with the condition of a desperate, quick sale within 2 weeks. The news hit the real estate market like a bomb. Everyone believed I was selling my last asset to save my father's company. 3 days later, my mother-in-law called in a panic. Isabel, what is this nonsense about selling the house for nothing? Are you insane? I broke down in fake sobs, telling her a fabricated story of canceled contracts, lawsuits, and mounting debts. It's over, I cried. I've ruined everything my father built. I have to declare bankruptcy. I could hear her hyperventilating. The villa, the company, their golden goose was about to be cooked. Bankruptcy! Don't you dare! She shrieked. I'll tell Julian. He has to come back. He has to save the company. An hour later, Julian called, his voice a mix of anxiety and reprimand. Isabel, what have you done? Why didn't you tell me? I'm sorry, I whimpered. I didn't want to worry you. Stop crying, he said impatiently. Don't do anything. Don't sell the house and don't sign anything. I'm on the next flight back. I'll be there in 2 days. Just wait for me." The fish had taken the bait. "Welcome home, my dear husband. I have a death sentence waiting for your signature." When Julian arrived, he looked like a savior descending from the heavens. He immediately demanded to know the situation. I presented him with a thick file prepared by Monsieur Bernard. "There's a private equity fund willing to give us a large loan," I said feebly. "But their terms are strict. They require you, as deputy CEO, to be the sole guarantor, using all our joint assets as collateral." He greedily snatched the documents. They were filled with complex financial jargon designed to confuse him. He only skimmed the first few pages about the loan, completely missing the appendices. "And," I added, my voice trembling, "they require you to sign a commitment that in a worst-case scenario, you will voluntarily forfeit all rights to the mortgaged assets to prioritize their repayment." Greed and arrogance blinded him. He saw the huge loan, the chance to be the hero who saved Aurore and seized total control. He believed me to be a helpless fool. "Fine," he declared. "We'll make the money back tenfold. Give me a pen." I watched as he signed page after page, his bold signature sealing his own fate. The trap was set. A week later, I was admitted to the hospital. On the morning of the surgery, I lay on the gurney, feeling a strange sense of peace. As they wheeled me toward the operating theater, Julian appeared, playing the role of the devoted husband. "Be strong, my love. I'll take care of everything out here." I looked him straight in the eye. "Yes, I'm leaving everything to you." The heavy doors closed. As the anesthesia began to take hold, I knew that outside, the storm had just been unleashed. I had sent Sophie a simple text for Monsieur Bernard. "Begin." At that exact moment, a massive divorce filing and a criminal complaint were submitted to the court, accusing Julien Dubois of fraud, embezzlement, and adultery, complete with all the evidence. Simultaneously, at the Aurore Group headquarters, just as Julien was planning his corporate takeover, police officers walked into my father's office. "Julien Dubois, you are under arrest." His face went pale. At the same time, his phone exploded with notifications. News headlines flashed across the screen. Aurore Group Deputy CEO, accused of embezzlement and adultery, funneling millions to mistress. The articles included the photos from Switzerland, details of the shell companies, and even the story of his father's past affair. The authorities froze all his and his family's assets. He finally understood. It was all a perfect trap, laid by the wife he had so gravely underestimated. I woke up to the morning Sunday. The surgery was a success. The tumor was gone, and I had won my battle for life. While I recovered, the world outside had been turned upside down. Julien was in custody, denied bail. His parents, stripped of their wealth and influence, found no one willing to help. Their grand villa was seized. His sister's husbands, fearing the scandal, were filing for divorce. The dynasty they built on deceit had crumbled. In Switzerland, the hospital demanded Chloe and my mother-in-law leave due to unpaid bills. Stressed, Chloe went into premature labor. After the birth, they were forced to move the fragile baby to a low-cost public hospital. Homeless and penniless, the two women ended up in a cheap, squalid motel, their dream life a distant memory. David's recordings captured their bitter fights, each blaming the other for their ruin. 6 months later, Julien was sentenced to 8 years in prison for fraud and embezzlement. In the civil case, our divorce was granted. All assets originating from me or my father's estate were returned to me. Julien was left with nothing. As he was led away, his father, broken and desperate, screamed at the news cameras. "Isabelle Moreau, are you happy now? Do you think you've won? You think your father died a peaceful death? Julien was just a pawn." The words chilled me to the bone. My father's cancer had progressed with unusual speed. I remembered Julien, the devoted son-in-law, always brewing special herbal soups for him. I recalled my father, weak and worried, trying to tell me something about Julien but stopping. Could it be? Could his death not have been natural? The terrifying thought took root, If this was true, Julian wasn't just a thief. He was a murderer. A year passed. I recovered, my short new hair a symbol of my rebirth. The story of my ordeal had made me a symbol of female empowerment. I used my platform and a significant portion of my reclaimed fortune to establish a foundation supporting female entrepreneurs, helping women escape difficult situations and build independent lives. It was the sweetest revenge, turning my pain into power for others. The investigation into my father's death had stalled. But one day, on a healing trip to Paris, my father's favorite city, I had a chance encounter in an old bookshop. It was Nicholas, a brilliant senior from my university whom my father had greatly admired. He was now a successful architect living in Paris. As we caught up over coffee, I showed him a small book of my father's on Eastern herbal medicine. Tucked deep inside was a folded note in my father's handwriting I'd never seen. It listed 2 strange herbs, circled, with a question mark and a scribbled note. Julian's soup. Ask Dr. Martin. Dr. Martin was my father's friend, an expert in herbal medicine. I suddenly remembered reading somewhere that those 2 herbs, harmless alone, become toxic when combined with an ingredient often found in the soups Julian made. Over time, they could destroy the stomach lining, accelerate cancer, and neutralize medication. Nicholas saw the look on my face. "Isabel," he said, his voice firm, "I have friends in pharmacology here in Europe. They can analyze this. You're not alone. We will find the truth together." As we walked along the Seine at sunset, a new chapter of my life was beginning. The fight for my father was not over, but for the first time in a long time, I was not walking into the battle alone. I was healed. I was strong. And I was finally ready for a future filled not with shadows, but with hope.